Spinning Globe, Gary Jacobs and Nigel Fell. During the last days, we have had several sessions on technology and how technology can improve the way we work. Now we get an example of that. Fam trips plays an important role in the travel industry, and Spinning Globe is set up to revolutionize the way fam trips are used and produced. I think the first time I spoke to Gary and Nigel is about 1.5 years ago. Both Spinning Globe and BUZZ, at that time called World Travel Nation, were still a bit in the development. Since that, a lot have changed for both sides, and Spinning Globe is now set up and ready to run. Welcome very much, Gary Jacobs and Nigel Fell. Nigel has held senior positions in the UK travel industry for about 35 years. Many board positions. He knows the travel industry inside out. Gary comes from the advertising side. He launched Fox Kalomaski in '95, and his focus is on communication. So we have the ideal combination of travel and communication. Welcome. I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Jan. And good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So I'm Gary Jacobs. I'm founder of Spinning Globe, and Nigel is my cohort as our Chief Commercial Officer. I think let's go straight for screen sharing, please. Okay, so the essence of our conversation today, or discussion, which can be a debate as much as anything else, is how can travel and tourism sales training and education be delivered more effectively? If I was a bit bolder, I would have put a slide up saying, is revolution better than evolution in driving sales through effective sales training? So that's a discussion. Our thesis is all really about how sales training can actually drive engagement, drive return on investment for the travel industry, whether that's a destination or a travel agent tour operator selling day by day. So we'll go through these slides. It'll take us 20 minutes, and ideally we'll have a conversation at the end of it. But we've created what we term as a sales training vision for the frontline travel industry. Very careful to say this is not necessarily our vision. This is a vision that we want to see for the industry. And one of the key things that central plank of our conversation is about continual professional development. Rather than just doing training for training's sake, trying to make the travel industry or help the travel industry to be more professional, so that when it comes to having the engagement with consumers, a travel agent tour operator is seen as a value proposition for anybody buying holidays. So I'm going to take you through one by one how we build up this vision. Firstly, and this is, Nigel's going to take us through some research in a minute about how we got to where we are, but we know that we have to deliver effective, affordable and accountable sales training. If it's not delivering a return on investment, then it won't be done. And actually getting the travel industry to do training is actually quite difficult. And they want it presented in a different way. For tourist boards destinations, it's all about providing an increase in arrivals from the right type of visitor. It's no longer any good just to drive the numbers. You've got to drive the right sort of people. We'll talk about distribution around the regions, about driving value, the value proposition for a destination in terms of creating jobs and education and value, increasing GDP for the region. It's not just about selling holidays. It's about the value for the destination, how it can become richer in terms of its attraction to tourists in the first place. And the whole thing about dispersal around a destination, you know, we've heard the adage of we know the things we know what we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know. So how can we help the industry, whether you're a destination or whether you're an agent, to actually learn about the things that we didn't even know existed? And how can we then overlay those with our consumers and understand what sort of experience they want, whether they want to swim with pigs, or they want to dive in blue holes, or they want fantastic cultural experiences in the middle of the Czech Republic. And what can we do to help them actually discover those things? And this leads us on to the issue of over-tourism. And we've seen it time and time again worldwide. By actually distributing people around a region, you're actually dealing with the over-tourism issue, and you're moving money into different parts of a destination. And that all helps to increase the lengths of stay, of sales, sales of products and bed nights. And all of this drives value for destinations, but ultimately for the travel industry itself. If you can sell more, you increase profitability. And for the agents themselves, they start to increase their commission level. So training for us is fundamental about actually driving value, giving a return on investment, and making sure that you've got something to sell rather than something just fills your brain. And ultimately, it's all about increasing loyalty for the agent and for their clients. If you build that whole essence of we've got something of value, whether you're selling a holiday or whether you're selling a destination, we want people to come back time and time again. We want to increase footfall through a shop door or online and into the destination itself. So just a summary of that, it is about delivering effective, affordable and accountable sales training, which provides an increase in arrivals from the right type of visitor that will spend money, the right sort of people coming. So it's not just about somebody arriving in a hotel, staying in the hotel, not moving away from the pool. They'll actually get out and they'll visit the area and actually drive the economy, which leads to greater dispersal about the destination, helping with over tourism, and again, increasing the loyalty for agents and their clients. So it led us to the question, is current destination and tourism product training effective for all stakeholders, whether you're an airline, whether you're a hotel, whether you're a country, whether you're a cruise operator, whatever it may be, is it really driving value? So Nigel's just going to take us through some of the training, some of the research that we did to arrive at where we are today.
Thank you, Gary, and hello, everybody. Yeah, so we decided to, rather than assume we knew what travel agents, tour operators, tourism board stakeholders like tourist boards, airlines, hoteliers, and tourism product providers, we asked them. It took us 2 years. We spoke to hundreds of individuals and many destinations, tourism boards, and organizations providing those products and services, and said, we know what you've got. What would you actually like, starting with a blank piece of paper? Next slide, please, Gary. The response was really very interesting. If we take the travel agents and tour operators first, without any shadow of a doubt, every single one of them said, the thing that we really want more of are fam trips. Now, fam trips are wonderful, we all know that, but they also have a great deal of expense attached to them. One very well-known tourism board in Southeast Asia runs approximately 10 fam trips a year from the UK. There are roughly 8 to 10 people on each of those fam trips, and they cost roughly £1,000 per person. So we're talking about £100,000 to get 100 top-selling travel agents or tour operators into that destination. That means there are tens of thousands of individual travel agent, tour operator, frontline staff, salespeople, and product people who very rarely get to go on a fam trip, but it's what they all want. Next slide, please, Gary. Fam trips is the number one. What else came up, and in what order did they come in? So, number two, no surprise to us really, came in-house training. But you're only really going to conduct in-house training if you are providing significant volume for that product. So an airline will only go into your offices and train your staff if you do a lot of revenue with that particular airline. So very few in-house frontline selling staff from Ma and Pa agencies up and down the UK actually get to see someone in-house doing any training. And they can be quite expensive. Third came roadshows. Again, a great tool for tourism boards and tourism products to use, traveling around the country at set cities and venues, inviting people to come along. And they're a great way, if you don't get in-house training, to at least learn something about the product or destination. Now, this is a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek. The research that we took actually happened before the COVID-19 breakout. Now, as we all know, webinars have been a lifeline for virtually the entire industry in the last couple of months. But for travel agents and tour operators, webinar training wasn't deemed as effective. Why? Because they could log in, switch off, and walk away very easily. It wasn't very accountable. So they decided that it wasn't particularly high in their ranking of how they want to be trained. But this was a real surprise for us. The current e-learning platforms that are used came fifth and last. And the reason that was, I guess, disappointing in a way. I've worked in e-learning for quite a while myself, and it's an institution, and it's been going for about over 15 years. But for agents to say they didn't like it or didn't engage with it or it wasn't particularly effective was a real surprise. So next slide, please, Gary. Okay, so if fan trips are the holy grail of travel, what can be done to replicate it for the many, not just the few? Now, let me go into a couple of statistics for you, which aren't on the slide, but will be available later. We asked the travel agents, what, again, blank piece of paper, what would you prefer to see? 88% of them said, we would like to see a greater use of imagery. Show me the destination, show me what I'm going to be selling my customer. I don't particularly need or want to read about it. I don't have much time, but show me the experience. 83% said, if you're going to show me text, can you please just make it bullet point or unique selling points? 100% of agents said, if you can't get me on a VFam, can we do something that's like a VFam? And another important thing, they told us, please don't make it lengthy. There are training platforms out there that can take hours, days, if not weeks to achieve. They don't have the time. They told us they really only have about 15 to 30 minutes a day. So if you're going to give them something, can you make it bite-sized so everyone can get access to it and benefit from it?
Thank you, Nigel. So ultimately, basically, that's bringing us down to 4 pillars. So we know that for the travel industry, it's got to be cost effective. So it's cost effective for a tourist board or a destination to actually put their content in the site to actually engage with the travel industry. Getting a return on investment is fundamental for every pound spent. For the travel trade itself, cost effective is about their time that they're going to be spending on it. The more immersive, the more engaging the actual content, the more times they're going to keep coming back to do the training. And the flexibility. Nigel just talked about some agents would say, I want 5 minutes. If I've been in the industry for 20 years, can you tell me something new in 5 minutes that I didn't know before that I can then go on and sell to my customers? Whereas if I'm a newbie into the industry, I might be happy to sit there for half an hour learning about new destinations. So it's that flexibility of, can I be in and out within 5? Is it 10, 15, 20, whatever it may be? But don't ask me to sit down for more than half an hour because I'm a busy person. So it led us on to look at the way current training is actually delivered and how people are engaged with to actually get them to do the training. We understood and very, very clear that agents and operators expect to be incentivized to complete standard online training modules. And generally that comes in the form of, you do this module on training, we'll put you into a free prize draw to go on a real fam trip. And again, you're probably going to get, I know, a 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 chance of actually getting onto that fam trip. Or we'll give you a Marks and Spencer's voucher or some sort of financial incentive to do the training. That to me is counterintuitive, which goes back to the whole thing of continual professional development potentially is a better way forward. So the question then is, how can the rewards be more beneficial for all concerned? And that is for the destinations as well as the individuals doing the training. We know in any business, it doesn't matter what field you're in, if you have satisfied clients, you're going to get a greater customer retention. They're going to come back to you time and time again because they had a good experience. The better experience, the more engagement you have, the more times they're going to buy through you, the higher your sales, the higher your profit, and the higher the commission for the trade themselves. And this is where we understand and see that the value of what we're trying to achieve is delivering a return on investment through money, through profitability, through higher commissions, rather than do the training and get a reward. That in turn for the destinations increases the health and the wealth of the local communities. We talk about distributing funds throughout the destination, increasing the benefit to the industry, to the country, the gross domestic product, and so on. And so there's value. It's a win-win for the whole industry. And again, banging on about the continual professional development for the travel trade, you see it in virtually every other industry, whether you're in legal or whether you're in law, in accountancy. Continual professional development is embedded into the infrastructure of that sector. We want to see how, or ask the question, how can CPD work more effectively in the travel trade? So we asked the question, what would change look like? Nigel?
Thank you, Gary. Next slide, please. Okay, we sat down with a large number of tourism boards over the course of that 2 years and said, we understand what travel agents and tour operators want. What is it that you and your stakeholders need? What is going to tick the boxes for your government? What's going to tick the boxes for your regions, for your cities, and for your local communities? Your local tourism products, airlines that may fly into your country, and all other tourism service and product providers, hotels, ground transfer companies, you name it. So it was quite a substantive piece of research. So we started off talking to tourist boards with the following in mind. Next slide, please, Gary. Imagine you are a country. We've picked South Africa as an example, but let's assume we're talking to some tourist boards here, or we're talking to tourism product providers. You may offer a touring product yourself, people we're talking to today. You may be a DMC, a DMO, a tour operator selling products in markets. So this really is for you. Imagine you are a country like South Africa. Place your own country where you're from in that central piece. Now imagine all the different areas and regions and provinces that you have in your country. Once you've done that, in this particular example, it's things like Northern Cape, Western Cape, Eastern Cape, and so on and so on. Now take the market segments that you sell your clients holidays to do. And by that, I mean, does your destination sell weddings and honeymoons? Does it do mice markets? Is it a gastronomy place? Do you do wine tasting, wine tours? Have you got city and beach holidays you can offer? Soft or hard adventure? Do you do music in your destination? Do you offer sport? So you maybe have golf or swimming or sailing. What about wellness and luxury? How about shopping breaks? So we've just put on the screen a very few of the different types of activities we know consumers want and we know destinations are eager to sell. Now, as Gary flicks through this for me, you just add on the things that each particular region or segment of that country is well known for. You can soon see the opportunity that creating something like a virtual fam trip will deliver for your country. There's a no limit to the amount of content that you can have on a virtual fam trip. So you could have luxury and wellness fam trips to the Northern Cape. You can have city beach fam trips by offering 2 different regions. You can do a fly drive holiday based around gastronomy and wine tasting. So there really is no end and no limit to the sheer amount of different types of products and services, but more importantly, market segments that you can have through a virtual fam trip platform. One last thing to touch on before we move forward to the next slide. It is absolutely imperative that when travelers go to a destination, they start to become more aware of what there is to see and do outside of the major points. As Gary's mentioned before, we've all heard of over-tourism, and it's affected many places in the world and continued to do so until COVID. Those cities are breathing huge sighs of relief at the moment. If you are able to get people out into different regions, undeveloped regions, those local communities directly benefit financially, health and wealth of that local community. So it's very important when we look about the new moving travel and tourism through into a new era that everybody benefits. Gary.
Thank you, Nigel. So ultimately, I just want to go back to this for one quick second. The whole thing about frequency of training is that if a destination had, whether it's 5 VFam trips or 100 VFam trips, there's a reason to keep pulling people back in the travel trade, keep coming back in and learning about that destination. Fresh destination information could go out weekly, could go out monthly, could go out quarterly. It could be done at any time of your desire. So our mission was to actually take virtual into reality. And we're here to talk about the thesis of how can we use continual professional development to help enhance the industry, help destinations and help the travel trade. And we'll just quickly say, look, from our point of view, we've created a VFam platform. It has the world on offer. It's growing literally day by day with more content, and it can be the amount of content that can go into the site is limitless. So whether you're a South Africa wanting to put in 100 VFams, or you're a Papua New Guinea wanting to do 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. It's all about strong visual imagery, about wanting to be there, to be able to look at it and feel it and taste it as if you were there in person. This is the Bahamas. And the platform, which is live, shows you exactly the sorts of destinations that are taking part in it. We know that the travel industry often needs help in terms of where places are located, and distances and times, and which airlines fly there. This is a Czech Republic one for a 5-day fam trip, but it can be as rich as I want to sit in that window on the world in Western Australia, or I want to find that new amazing ski destination in Canada. It can be as rich and diverse as you want it to be. So in the dying minutes, we are just to come back on this vision for the travel industry, and what we're trying to achieve is to deliver effective, affordable and accountable training that delivers a return on investment. We're looking to help to increase arrivals from the right type of visitor, to achieve greater dispersal throughout the destination, which helps with over-tourism, and increase the length of stay by finding and delivering more new things for the travel industry to sell about destinations, increasing product sales and bed nights. And that increases the loyalty of agents and their clients. And ultimately, our thesis comes back to how can we make sales training more engaging and more rewarding for the whole travel industry. Thank you. So you've got my name, Gary at spinningglobe.com, and Nigel at spinningglobe.com, but let's open it up. If we can stop screen sharing now. Thank you. So that is, in a nutshell, as I said at the very beginning, we're looking at revolution in terms of the way training works in sales training in the travel industry. Evolution has taken rather a long time to move it from where it's been for the last 10 or 15 years online into something new. So we're open if anybody would like to ask any questions. We have a few minutes left.
Perhaps I may. How does this? You have a platform. How does it work? Who produces the videos, the material? How does that work?
So the Spinning Globe Virtual Fan Platform, VFam platform, is a SaaS model, software as a service, where we've created a platform for a global use. And it's the content of whether it's a tourist board, whether it's a hotel, whether it's an airline, cruise company, it's their content. We help to build a VFam. It literally takes days. We could have a virtual fan trip live within 3 or 4 days of receiving content. And as I say, it's built on a Microsoft Azure platform, so it's scalable across the globe. It's being used in North America now, and in the UK. And it's the content of the destination. It's all about their content, not about our version of their content. We're giving them a platform to be able to distribute it.
And what's important, Jan, as well, is there's no prescriptive format here. Whatever type of content the destination wants to provide, whether it be high definition stills, walkthrough, 360 imagery, anything can be used on that platform. But what's important is the concept is a virtual fan. So we have day one is your journey to the destination. You're going to be flying on an aeroplane. So why not show them the inside of the aircraft? You work with the national carrier or with an airline who wants to sponsor the page, or who has an MOU with the respective destination. You can then show their product on the VFam as if you were getting on the aircraft. You can look around it, sit in the seats, look at the meal service, in-flight entertainment. When you get to the destination you're arriving in, you then go to your hotel, which is what normally happens on a VFam trip. So you can have a look around your hotel, have a wonderful look around the property, and that content obviously comes in from the hotel provider. Then you are into your fam trip proper. So you are going out and seeing, touching and tasting all the different things there are to see and do. And probably many you didn't even know you could do in that given destination, as you would do on a fam trip.
Okay. Gary, do you see the question?
Yeah. So the questions with e-learning, what's the best length of concentration span on average? And from the research that we carried out, a lot of, Nigel said this before, a lot of tourist boards put training together that lasts for hours and days and weeks and months. But the specific request was, give us bite-sized training. When we were talking with tour operators that are selling very, very expensive holidays, the guys don't want to spend time doing the training. They want to spend time on the phone selling. So they said, 5 minutes, just give me something that I can do in 5 minutes when I'm having a break, half an hour at the most. And so it really has to be, get me in, get me out, give me something that I can sell. And the basis of what we have is that a fan trip is an itinerary. A virtual fan trip is an itinerary that an agent can sell to a consumer. And in fact, we've actually had a tour operator come to us to say, can we white label this and use it to present itineraries to consumers? And we said, absolutely. If we're a tool for the travel trade to enhance their offer, and we can work in that way. The second question is, how do tourist boards search for professional tourism training? That's a good question. I think we've learned from my background from advertising, working with destinations and tourist boards. Often people are land in a country, a new head of marketing or a director of a tourist board will land in the country and not know enough about how the media works and how the whole industry works in that local market. And so it's difficult. Nigel and I actually had a conversation with a chap, I think he was from the embassy from Brazil. He said, I spent 2 years in the UK and I wasted a year of that because I didn't know what I was doing. So where do I go for that sort of information? So I think there's a lot of organizations, there's ABTAs and there's ITTs and there's TOEs and so on. So there's plenty of people out there to help, but what we want to do is centralize the ability to help people learn faster. I
can add to that if you wish. If you are what I guess I would call a sophisticated tourism destination, like an Australia or a Canada, USA, most destinations in Europe, for example, they will have spent a significant amount of money doing an extraordinary amount of research by the markets they wish to attract. They will spend millions, if not hundreds of millions over the course of 5-10 years. So the sophisticated tourism boards usually know exactly which clients they want and where they're going to get them from, and employ the right people to do the right job. However, there are dozens and dozens of destinations that don't have that sort of budget. The budgets are very limited. Think of, say, sub-Saharan Africa or parts of Southeast Asia or Latin America, where they just don't have the sort of money available. And given what's happened in the last 3 or 4 months, there's going to be even less tourism dollars to spend. So it's important that if you are a tourist board of any shape and size, but particularly a smaller one, that you talk to the relevant associations in the markets you wish to attract. Talk to professionals like us, not just us. There are many of us out there like us doing very similar things, but it is important, depending on the tourism board you are from, there are different ways you go about securing that information about tourism training in particular.
I'm just going to actually type the answer as well, just in case anybody didn't pick it up in terms of the training.
Okay, I guess one question that I was asked before I came on air is it possible for just a city to have a VFam or a region? And of course, the answer is absolutely yes. If you imagine cities like London, New York, Sydney, to name just a very, very small few, there are probably more things to do in a week, 2, even maybe even 3 weeks, than you would see and do on a 3 or 4 day trip, which is what most city breaks are. So people are a lot more likely to go back to cities on more than one occasion. So a city can have a number of different VFAMs on the platform. For example, they could do a specialist shopping and theatre VFam. It could be a luxury and wellness VFam. It could be sporting, golf. So there is no limit, depending on the type of client you are looking for, whether you are a country, a region or a province, or a city. Yes, it's applicable to all.
Perhaps if I may, last question before we need to stop, because time is running out. How Corona, has that accelerated the demand for your product, for your ideas? Yeah.
It's been a serendipitous time for us, actually, Jan, in that respect. So Spinning Globe has been around for a couple of years. We launched at World Travel Market in 2018, and we've been knocking on doors, talking to people. But since lockdown, we've had a bit of a rush of people coming to us saying, actually, they're writing our brief. They're saying, we're looking for a virtual fan platform, and there isn't one that exists as far as we know, apart from what we have. So yeah, it's we know we can help the travel industry at this time, and we want to help them recover, and actually to make sure that people continue learning and finding out the things that they didn't know.
Very useful. I think this is something which will revolutionize the way we think about a lot of things. Gary, Nigel, thank you a lot. You are on BUZZ, and you are to be contacted if anybody are interested in learning more about your product. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan.